welcome to the Self-Empowered Podcast. I'm Abbie Marie, and I am passionate about helping women to heal themselves and their self-worth so that they can help heal others. Now, I'm a huge believer in becoming a role model expert, okay? So this is why I teach women how to heal themselves, to release their traumas, to find out what self-worth and self-love really means to them, and then how to install them on an unconscious level so that they can live their life feeling happier, having more freedom, more abundance, and feeling alive. Like you truly are feeling so self-empowered. I believe you become very self-empowered when you discover how to be that role model, when you find out what that secret sauce is for having that better life that makes it so easy. Okay, ladies, life is not meant to be hard. Can we just say that? Can you repeat after me? Life is not meant to be hard. And the reason why I'm so passionate about helping other women to become alive is because I lived a life. I mean, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm 34 tomorrow. It's my birthday, and I'm so excited because I'm at the point in my life now where I am making those massive shifts and those massive changes. I am constantly rewiring my brain to create new neurons so that I am living my life every day at its fullest and at its best. Okay, so what happens with our life is that we have pretty much from the ages of 7 and under. So whoever we are around is who we're being programmed by, okay? And they're not doing, the programs that we have or the way that we think now and some of the beliefs that we have, it is not like our parents' fault or our teacher's fault or our family's fault, whoever, raised us in that time. It's not their fault if we have some dysfunctional behaviors now. No, not at all. Because we're all doing the best we can with the resources that we have. So the people that you were around when you were, younger, they were doing the best they could with the resource that they had, okay? I know that there can be some horrible things that happen and some trauma that can happen and some pain that can happen. And you just think like, well, they should have known better. Yeah, 100%. 100% I agree with you. Okay, and then this is where what we get to do is we get to choose, okay? We get to choose that we can either be an effect or we can be a cause. Now, being an effect is like having that victim mindset, okay? It's blaming others. I'm going to put my hand up and say, I didn't think I was in effect. I didn't think I was being a victim before. And then until I learned about cause and effect, I was like, oh my gosh, so I used to sit there. So I used to suffer with anxiety and PTSD and OCD, and there was so much. I mean, I used to be fearful of leaving my house because I was scared of the outside world. I was scared of who I was going to bump into. I was scared of being re-triggered by the trauma and the memories. So I would just stay in my house, or if I did go out, it was, making sure that I had my plan. I knew the routine. I, had that control of get in, get out, get home, or, having someone with me, or knowing that I'm going to a place where I felt safe, or avoiding situations, or avoiding towns. I avoided so many towns and shopping centers, and just because I was fearful of bumping into people. So scared. And I mean, look at me now. I never thought that I would have my own successful business helping heal other women. I'm international in 4 different countries. My goal is to help reach 1 million women. I never thought I'd have this podcast, so when you learn how to rewire your neurons, and when you step into that cause mindset, okay, so going from the victim, going from it's their fault. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, so I used to say I wouldn't have anxiety if they didn't do this, or I wouldn't have anxiety if they just moved away, or I wouldn't have anxiety if they weren't around anymore. And I'm like, oh yes, but I'm not the victim. It's not my fault. Okay, can you relate? When I learn about cause, and being at cause is being that leader, okay, and it's about being that higher person and kind of just being like, okay, well, this happened to me, but am I going to let it take control of my life? It may not be your fault that it happened, but it is your responsibility for how you live the rest of your life. So when I learned this and when I heard this, I was like, wow, okay. So instead of going, oh, I have anxiety because of this, I'm like, no, because of this, I will heal. Because of this, I will raise up and I will show my children how to be self-empowered. Because of this, okay? So because of this, I will now become alive. I'm not, I used to say like, I numb myself, or I drink excessively, or I, binge eating, or I can't do this because this happened and because of my trauma. And I used to hold on to it so tight. Okay, so tight. And I was like, you don't understand. Nobody understands because nobody ever has felt this way. To be honest, so just a little backstory. When I was a kid, I used to look up to my parents' marriage. Okay, so my parents, I see them as being soulmates, right? So they are two people who will spend every single day together. Like, they used to work together and they come home and they live together, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And when they were, if say my dad would go away for the weekend, he used to go on, like motorbike rides and stuff. If he went away, they would miss each other like crazy. I remember seeing, it's so adorable. I remember seeing like my mum just being like, oh, I don't want him to go. Like, he hasn't even gone yet. And they're like, oh, I miss you. I'm going to miss you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I love that. I want that so bad. So when I was a kid, that's all I wanted. I wanted that soulmate connection, that unconditional love that I saw in my parents. So moving forward, and I'm living what I thought was my dream life. I was about to get married, had two beautiful children, life was going really good. I'd faced some challenges in my earlier year, but that part of me, I wanted to put it all behind me and focus on the good things I had. But then on my wedding day, my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And our honeymoon became a constant cycle of visiting hospitals and specialists. The treatment my husband was on and the immense pain he was in changed his moods and his demeanour. And for those last few months, it was traumatizing. He passed away 2 hours before our 7-year anniversary. Months after he passed away, I spiraled out of control. I was using alcohol and prescription medication, but what was the most toxic thing was that sort of language I was using silently in my own head. I was reducing my own self-worth, believing I couldn't do anything to change, and that life was unfair, and what was the point of even trying? Even on those days when I looked at my two beautiful kids' hopeful eyes, this motivation was only felt temporarily. I retreated to numbing myself. Nothing was working for me. I saw other people living these amazing lives, and I just wanted that for me. I wanted to live purposely with an abundance of self-worth. I wanted to respect my body, my mind, and myself. I didn't respect myself. I wanted to connect with my inner strength. I wanted to live passionately. I wanted to love, and I wanted to feel alive. So the big problem was that I wanted to live a life of passion, to love, to find inner peace and happiness, and to enjoy the holidays with my loved ones, So when it would come to Christmases or birthdays, I would feel myself just wanting to retract, wanting to numb myself, because it was reminding me of the dreams that no longer existed. And I also felt, I felt that guilt as well for enjoying myself after he'd passed. Like, who am I to enjoy Christmas with my family when, it's not complete anymore? But I was allowing the low self-worth to stop me, okay? I was allowing those internal voices and the feelings of guilt and shame and grief, and I allowed that to take a hold of me. And like I mentioned, I was saying, no one in my family had been through this. No one could truly understand what I was going through. And so I held on tight to my trauma. I held on really tight, and I believed I was uncurable. So the mistakes that I was making, I wasn't living my life according to my values and my beliefs. I was living to make everyone else happy. I wasn't allowing myself to believe that I was worthy of abundance, love, or happiness. And I started in the dark with very little guidance, and I just was I was just keeping my head above water. Eventually, I found myself exploring how the mind works, and I was, it was a small step at first, which was an introductory course into a mindset and hypnotherapy, but it was in that room where I had that revelation, I realized that I did want to live a better life. I did, I wanted to show my kids that we didn't have to live a life of suffering anymore. I wanted to show them that we're all worthy of a life that was overflowing with abundance of love and happiness. And then everything changed, right? Everything changed. I met a mentor, and he told me, he shared with me the steps, but it was in that room. That's where I discovered, my steps to becoming alive. I remember when I was in that room and kind of learning, the small part about the cause and effect, but learning about the mindset and learning about the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. I mean, for those who don't know, our unconscious mind controls 95% of our behaviors. And our conscious mind, neuroscience has shown this. Our conscious mind only controls 5%. So we could be sitting here, and I remember I used to sit here saying, oh, I don't want anxiety. I don't want to have anxiety anymore. But I was still having it, I was still doing all the symptoms. And now you might think, like, oh, what you're telling me, I'm choosing to have anxiety. I'm choosing to be triggered. And it's like, well, if we think of it like a pirate ship, okay? So you've got the captain and you've got the crew. Now, the captain is our conscious mind. So consciously, we think I don't want to have anxiety. But unconsciously, so our crew is just like, no, we want to do this. And what happens? So if the crew is following directions properly for what the captain is saying, the ship is smooth sailing, right? But what happens if the crew decides to go against the captain? I mean, mutiny happens. So, because the captain can be saying, like, I want to go forward, and the crew's like, nah, I don't think so. We're going to have a little party, and we're going to go this way. We're going to go left, and you want to go straight, we're going left. So that's what our unconscious mind is doing, because 95% of it is controlling our behaviors. So it's bigger, it's that crew. So it's taking over. So what we need to do is working with the unconscious mind and changing the neurons, changing the reprogramming, removing the limiting beliefs and the shame and the victim, the effect mindset, and bringing back in the cause, bringing that back in. Okay, so this is why I'm so passionate about it. So it was in that room where I discovered how to step into being the leader, step into my purpose, realize that, I can heal myself. I am in control of my body. I am in control of my life. I freaking love myself. Like, yes, I do. Yes. Okay. And what that then did is that's when I discovered the steps. That's when I created, my live program. And this is where I take other women through the steps that I use to heal myself. And now that's where I'm coming back to, being that role model expert, okay? The role model expert they make great mentors, because this is someone that does have the results that you seek and can help you get them along the way. So I thrive on being a role model expert, and I thrive on teaching women how to be that as well, because pretty much how I think of it is I'm like a walking billboard for what I teach. Okay, I love teaching what I learn, and I love to implement what I've learned straight away. So then I can, go, okay, cool. This is how I felt. This is the symptoms. This is what happened. This is the resistance I had. These are the thoughts that I felt. But now, once I move through it, it's like, cool. Now this is how great life is. This is how much energy I'm feeling into my body. This is how I'm connecting into my feminine energies. And life is just, I mean, I'm literally like Life is so amazing, and it's that ripple effect. So once I learned how to, come out of the victim mindset, it rippled onto my children. Okay, so my children, without realizing, unconsciously, were also picking up the same energy that I was putting down. So I was living a life, of 30 odd years with a life of being unworthy and feeling like a failure and a loser and a screw up and all of this, and unworthy of love and who cares, that real yucky energy. And that was going on to my kids, and I remember hearing my daughter at school one day and she was saying like, oh, I'll never be as smart as some of the girls here, and I'll never be able to run as fast as these girls. And I just remember thinking like, whoa, what's going on? Like, you're 6. Like, what? Where is this coming from? And and then my son as well is like, oh, I'll never be smart enough, and I won't be able to do this. And I was like, that's not happening. And it wasn't until I started reprogramming my unconscious mind and getting my crew on board with my captain, right, that it literally, like, the energetic ripple onto them. Now my daughter, she is tutoring, so she's 9 now. She's tutoring some of the kids at her school to help them to read, and she won, I think she was second champion girl, like second runner-up champion girl in running for like the year 3s. My son is thriving in school now. He's got an abundance amount of friends who are truly fully caring and supportive of him. You know, life is amazing, and it's like just by us taking that change and learning how to be into the being at cause. You know, it's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. Okay, so it wasn't my fault that trauma happened, but it is my responsibility to teach my children how they can also be self-empowered as well. Like, yes. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because what I was doing is I was playing those tricks on my mind. Okay, so when you change how you think and feel, you can reduce the power of the problem and make it even non-existent. If we really accept the new possible reality, like, let me know if you're getting goosebumps right now. Let me know if this is resonating. Okay, because what this is about, and what I want to share with you, is having that power perspective. Okay, so having that power perspective, it's, you know, how you see things, glass half full, glass half empty. Two people can be faced with exactly the same situation, yet have total opposite responses to it depending on their perspective. Blah, blah, blah. Get that out, hey? The difference between feeling crushed by the biggest mistake of your life versus seeing mistakes as, you know, something that you can't change, you know, another opportunity to learn and do better next time, right? That's the cause and effect mindset. You know, the cause, oh, it's another opportunity to learn. Let's try something better next time, compared to the effect, like, oh, this is the biggest mistake in my life. I'm such a screw up. If this didn't happen, if they didn't do this, I wouldn't have done that, and rah, 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 you know, yuck. You know, people who have that power perspective approach live life confident that they can give anything a try. And even if things go wrong in their life, they can trust themselves and they can back themselves and their own judgment, rather than deferring to peers or believing that life is determined by bad luck or by chance. Okay, so I used to just always, whenever I had to make a decision, I was like, let me go ask a million people before I actually have confidence in my intuition and have confidence in this thought that I have. So, you know, it was kind of like I needed to do like a peer review, right? Where now I'm just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing, I'm making a decision now. And, you know, trust me, I mean, I'm human. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. Perfect is gross. You know, when you're perfect, you don't have any room to grow. And I'm all about growing, because if you don't grow, you're dying, right? And I don't want to die because I'm alive. I'll be honest with you, I don't every day like have this positive perspective where you know, sometimes I do have, you know, crappy days and I feel sluggish, or I'm just like in a funky mood, or I'm getting angry or getting triggered or whatever. But it's like, hey, it's all about making that decision. You can choose. The choice is always yours. You can choose, do I want to be staying flat in this negative energy, or am I going to choose to raise above it? Okay, it's not my fault what's happening right now, but it is my responsibility for how I'm feeling. No one, never let anyone have control of your emotions, okay? So pretty much what I like to think is, like, whenever I'm feeling really angry or you know, triggered, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, because of them I'm feeling this way. It's like, whoa, let's just zoom out. Let's just take a breath, connect in with the now, and actually think about it. Are you giving that person the power to take control of your emotions? Think about that. Just let me know, you know, hand on heart, who is in control of your emotions? Can I change how you feel right now? Like, if you're super happy, can I just be like, no, I'm going to make you really angry right now? And you're just like, okay. Like, no, that's not how we do it, okay? So we're self-empowered. We're stepping into cause. We're taking control of our crew and our unconscious mind. And we're like, I beg your pardon. I am in control. I am self-empowered. I trust that things will turn out how they are meant to turn out, okay? And opening up for that trust. But you have the power to choose your own expectations based on what you focus on, okay? So you can focus on all the positive in your life and feel good, or we can focus on the negative and feel bad. It's up to you. The choice is up to you. You have that power to change your thoughts, change your perspective, and choose to feel good about ourselves in our life. So again, it's just coming back to cause and effect. You know, it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. Now, effect, I want you to write this down. So just before we wrap up really quickly today, I want you to write down effect is. Okay, so effect is short-term pleasure equaling long-term pain. Short-term pleasure equals long-term pain. And cause is short-term pain equals long-term pleasure. Okay, cause, Short-term pain equals long-term pleasure. Now, if we focus on cause right now, so the short-term pain equaling long-term pleasure. So what that means is doing something that's short-term, that is, causing that pain, or instead of saying pain, like, you're feeling that discomfort. Okay, so that short-term pain where you're feeling that discomfort of like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. So one of my mentors today, she said to me, she's like, share with me something that you're doing today that's fun. And I was like, yeah, I'm a fun girl. Like, yeah, sure, I'm a fun woman. I can do fun. That's great. And she's like, okay, cool. What is it? And I'm like, what? She's like, what are you going to do that's fun? And instantly, I could feel the resistance in my body. I was like, ugh. and my unconscious mind, so my crew was like, no, we're too busy to have fun today. You've got this, and this to do. And, oh, do you remember that thing that you spoke about 6 months ago that you were going to do? Yeah, and today is the day that you're going to do it. And I was just like, And she was like, well, what are you going to do? What's going to be fun? And I was like, I don't know. And it's like, hang on a minute. It should not be confusing about how to have fun. Okay, so like if you were to ask a 5-year-old, hey, what do you want to do for fun? They'll tell you what to do for fun. Yeah, it's not hard, is it? So I had to sit in that short-term pain today. So it was like, right, short-term pain of trying to move through the discomfort that my body was feeling and my unconscious mind being like, no, we don't have fun, to the long-term pleasure. Okay, so what happens is that by moving through that and finding something fun, so I actually went out to my kids and I was like, hey, what are we going to do for fun today? My daughter's like, let's go swimming. And I was like, oh, okay. And, my mum was like, I don't want to go swimming. Like, I'll get my hair wet. I just got it blow-dried yesterday. Like, ew, no, I don't want to do this. But I was like, I did it, okay? And it was like as soon as I jumped into the water, feeling that water on my skin, like my body just relaxed. It was like all the tensions, it was like a clearing, like just feeling all the stress coming off my body. And it's like I had nothing to be stressed about. But my body was just being like, ugh! Like, we're feeling discomfort right now. The ego was telling me that I couldn't do it. Now, that's going to equal long-term pleasure, because I realized in that moment, I was like, wow, it is actually so easy for me to go, I can do stress right now. Stress is easy. I know how to do stress. I can tell you all the things that I need to do that are stressful and make them super urgent and just add, put my body into survival mode and just, stress my adrenal glands out. I can do that, no worries at all. So that's effect, right? Short-term pleasure. My body was being addicted to stress. Like for my whole life, I have been addicted to stress without realizing it. I created stress to be normal, right? So short-term pleasure is that could be me just being like, well, I'm just going to sit in stress, like, and I'm going to let my unconscious mind just be like, yeah, you're too busy for fun today. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm too busy. And they'll be like, oh, good. I didn't have to do fun. But then that's long-term pain, because I didn't get to rewire my neurons. I didn't get to break state. I didn't get to break the circuit and rewire to be like, fun is easy. Now it's just like long-term pain of just another 34 years or whatever of having stress and just being in survival mode. Like, yuck. So being at cause, doing that short-term pain of feeling that discomfort, rewiring my unconscious mind and just being like, no, we're doing this, like unconscious mind, you want to do this, you want to go swimming, but then that's equaling that long-term pleasure, because like I mentioned, now I have noticed that I've become aware of what that habit was, of what that addiction was. And now I'm like, okay, how am I going to add in fun every single day of my life? And I mean, today I made it my absolute mission to have fun. We went swimming, we had a little dance party at home. I went and bought some new bed sheets, like, ooh, new bed sheets. So my plan is that tomorrow when I wake up for my birthday, I'm like, oh yes. So, to end my 33 years, I'm going to go to sleep in nice, fresh bed sheets. And then tomorrow, to start my 34 years, I'm going to wake up in nice, fresh bed sheets. Oh yeah. Like, I mean, that just, my whole body is like, oh yes. So, that's it. And it's so very quick and easy. So what I want to ask you right now, what is something that you can do today for fun? What is something that you can do today that is fun? And it can be anything, like I mentioned, the dance party or going for a swim, or getting a blow dry, having a massage, having a sauna, going for a walk along the beach, playing with your pets, laughing, like having those real big belly laughs. Gosh, I love those real big belly laughs. So let me know let me know what you can do for fun. Follow me on Facebook, Abbie Marie 2020, or follow me on Instagram. Make sure you hit subscribe if you liked what I was talking about today and you want to learn more about how you can heal yourself so that you can be that role model expert, so that you can help heal other people as well, and create that bigger energy so that we can make a huge difference. I'm all about having that self-love and self-worth movement, okay? If everyone in the world just loved themselves a little bit more, wouldn't it be amazing? Thank you all for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.